We have people that have worked here for 25 years plus, and they love coming to work every day, and the relationships they have with our residents is impossible to recreate. And also, we're a neighborhood company. We have very close relationships with our neighbors. We care about not just our communities, but the communities that they exist in. So we really also focus in on being a good steward. For example, we've done highway cleanups, community cleanups, tons of community outreach.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are here back at Chateau Retirement with the marketing manager of Chateau, Kenji Hobbs. And Kenji, it's so nice to have you in front of the camera. He's been really so much a part of us bringing you this amazing content and discovering a lot about Chateau Retirement. So welcome to Answers for Elders in front of the camera, my friend.
Thank you.
So nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So you are the marketing director of Chateau Retirement. Tell me a little bit before we start in, what is your primary role? Obviously, marketing is one of those things, but in senior living, it's very unique.
Yeah, that's a great question, Suzanne. It's very unique in the sense that we're a family-owned and operated company, and that informs every single decision that I make. So what we want to be doing in that is being very deliberate in our efforts. Many times our budget and our capabilities that are available to us are, to be frank, smaller than some of the major companies out there. So we really need to be very strategic and very deliberate about the choices that we make. On a day-to-day basis, the things that I will that are my responsibilities are things like our digital advertising, our print advertising, working very closely with Ellie for our collateral.
And Ellie is the vice president of sales.
That's right.
And marketing and sales goes hand in hand, and they're very different. And I think the average public doesn't necessarily understand the difference. So it's good that you're identifying this.
100%. A big and key part of what Ellie and I have been working so closely on is distinguishing sales and marketing and making sure that while we work very closely together, those roles are very clearly defined. But also, to be clear, we work very closely together to make sure that's successful. We're very lucky in the sense that we share a vision and have a really clear understanding, I feel, of the market, where it's headed, and also the tools that need to be implemented to do so.
Yeah. I come from the sales and marketing world.
Yes.
And, one of the things that I always love about marketing is the M stands for mindfulness. It's that purpose behind. It's what is it that you're doing? What's your branding? What do you stand for? What are the missions? And, really overall, it gives that person that is the salesperson, that front person, the ability to have this wonderful mindfulness behind them as they meet with a prospective resident, as well as, current residents in different options as they continue to age. So there's a whole aspect of that, as well as the liaison with the families, et cetera. So obviously, when you're talking about a family-owned company, Chateau Retirement, how do you differentiate Chateau from other companies? How do you do that in your marketing and advertising?
That's a really great question, Suzanne. One thing that we really lean into is, first of all, the longevity of our staff. Because we have such a true family feeling here, I've worked at companies small and large, and I can say the culture here is genuine in the sense that we really, the family does care, and that extends to all aspects of the organization. So we really lean into the longevity of our staff in the sense that we have people that have worked here for 25 years plus, and they love coming to work every day, and the relationships they have with our residents is impossible to recreate through any other. It's just a genuine feeling. So we do that. Another thing that we accentuate is that, we're not as large as some of these other companies. They've got their model, we have ours, but what we can do is we can be very, very detailed and very focused on each community, differentiating the needs for each one. And also, we're a neighborhood company. We have very close relationships with our neighbors. We care about not just our communities, but the communities that they exist in. So we really also focus in on being a good steward to our neighbors, and that extends to every aspect of either our messaging or to even For example, we've done highway cleanups, community cleanups,
That's
tons
awesome.
of community outreach. So it's there.
Well, and in a little while, we're going to be talking to Cindy, who's kind of the front person for Chateau Valley Center in Renton. But what I know is that you guys are out in the community and you're supporting various causes like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease and different things like that. Obviously, these are very important initiatives to be involved in. But when you look at the whole senior living industry as a whole, you guys have some unique sets of challenges in your marketing. What kind of challenges present themselves?
That's a great question. And I think authenticity and true value is so important when it comes to marketing and senior living. When I came into the senior living world as a marketer, it was very important to me that the product that or service that was being offered was genuine. We really want to offer a service that provides true value. If somebody's making the decision to move into a retirement community, they're putting their care, their world in our hands. So it's very, very important that can't be faked. Let's be frank, in many advertising stations or silos across different industries, sometimes messaging can be massaged and manipulated. I think it's a zero-sum game when it comes to senior living. It must be authentic. It must reflect the true product. And I think that's what really makes a company successful is you, again, back to the authenticity. You can't fake what's inside the community. And again, that's why people have worked here for 25 years. And that's why I feel comfortable every day coming to work and selling a product that I'd be comfortable selling to my own family, my own grandparents. It's very important to me that
it's very few industries and senior living organizations that have the type of longevity that Chateau has.
Yeah.
And obviously that not only shows the ability in, the kind of culture that you create for the people that work for you, but also it's in your hiring standards and in your values, and that you stand behind those values, what you speak forward, because obviously those are big issues. But it's also looking, I think, towards the future. And I look at, we've talked a lot in these interviews about AI. So AI is involved also in marketing.
Yeah,
and this is the part that fascinates me, obviously coming from my background. Share to me a little bit about what AI can tell us in marketing.
It's a fantastic resource for so many things. One thing that you can use it for, of course, AI is dependent on the inputs that you give. So if you give it good information and ask it good detailed questions, and of course, check your work, you can produce amazing competitor research. You can produce amazing demographic research where it's been very helpful for us. We're in the process of updating some of the keywords on our website. They can identify keywords you would never think of. And beyond that, the future is, I believe that many of us use Google or Bing or other search engines on a daily basis, but it's getting very clear that we're moving towards people searching on AI engines to find information. So it's a huge opportunity that Chateau is actively trying to leverage, is being a leader in being discoverable in that field. And because it's kind of a gray area now, it means a lot of careful research, experimentation, and implementation. But what stands to be gained is hard to quantify. So.
Well, and I think the other thing, it helps in response time.
Yep.
As far as, if a message comes through, it can summarize meetings and key points that we may miss before. So there's a lot of things that can happen even in the interaction to help support the sales team to making sure that the questions that are asked are being answered.
Yep.
And you being able to get this kind of information can really help you determine on how to meet the market most effectively. What have you learned the most through your position?
I came from the hotel and restaurant industry before this, which has so many similarities to this world. What I've learned about senior living is it is maybe one of the most detailed and when I say deliberate, I mean you need to be very, very focused on kind of your approach. Is the sales cycle on senior living is maybe one of the longest. It's maybe one of the most trust-centric sales cycles you'll see out there, even beyond buying a car. I'd say this might be controversial, even more than buying a home, because you're talking about a loved one. I think it's so important that that those things are considered. And again, not to be redundant, but it always comes back to authenticity to me, because if you cannot sell, let's say you make a quick sale off somebody because you've had some sort of messaging that you created that may not be accurate, ultimately that's going to hurt your reputation. And ultimately, and what's more important is it may hurt the quality of life for an individual where it's so important. And I don't think that's a business model that most people would want to replicate.
Right. And Kenji, when you say that, it's like you learn through your role where you come from hotels, but there's this whole other piece on care and values. And, you know, like you said, the authenticity piece is such a big part that it almost, you know, they work hand in hand, but certainly your background of already having a second hand to the hotel's hospitality side, this is the part that's been probably so forthcoming and so important in the messaging. And I am just honored to have you with us and talking a little bit about what your role is. So what do you see just in the future? What's going to happen in the future in meeting the needs of the baby boomers, which are really defining retirement differently? Right.
There's, as we've, you know, we see across the industry, there's a lot of talk about independence. This is a highly independent generation, and the time frame of them moving to retirement may be different from previous generations. And I think it's really important to meet that. And what we're doing with that is, again, using AI, using our best tools available to understand that. And speaking about AI, this is a generation that did grow up using computers. It may not be, you know, Gen X or millennials, but they absolutely worked with computers and really were the kind of the spearhead on that. They brought them in. There was a resident, there's a good friend of mine that was one of the main people that was programming at Microsoft using
that's amazing.
You know, and they're very, very, very tied into that. So I think understanding the technological needs, the independent needs of the boomer generation that's coming, and making sure they have that care, that true care and that true depth of care, but also respecting their independence and modeling our messaging on that. We want to reach them in a way that speaks their language, and that really in so many ways, marketing is speaking language, speaking someone's language.
And obviously you're getting information from the keywords that they're putting forward and all the different types of questions that are being asked that you can generate from. That's powerful in helping you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.